Well, good morning again. Here we are. Here's our book. If you haven't been a part of some of these talks, we are in the midst of a prosperity series based on this book, Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth. Raise your hand if you're reading along, if you're in a prosperity group, if you're following along in some way, somehow, going to deep dive on Sundays to just really take it in. Yeah. That's amazing. So today we are doing, let's see, do I say that right here? No, not yet.
I have a question for everybody out here.
Yes.
What is your, and I want some shout outs, what is your definition of prosperity?
Prosperity.
Anyone?
What is prosperity
What's
anyway?
prosperity to you? What?
Circulation. Health. Friends. Any other thoughts? Family. How do you think?
Now, society asks
Yeah.
us, whenever we talk about prosperity, how much do we have? How much money do we have? How many properties do we have? Unity asks us.
Unity says, how freely is life flowing through you? So all you Unity Truth students did so well when you talked about prosperity. True prosperity is the realization that God is our source of financial wellness, physical wellness, relationship wellness, spiritual wellness. God is our source. Alignment is the goal, not accumulation. So today, the title of this talk is Moving from Fear to Love. We're looking at chapters 10 and 11 in this book. So chapter 10 is Discover the Wonder of Giving.
I got this one. All you need to do is just give endlessly. Give. Here's a heart. Whoops. It fell. Here's another one. Here's one for you. And more for you. Wait. I need more. Oh, yeah, give them back. Oh, there's so many to give. More for you. Okay, more. Here, you have some too. Oh, giving. I'm pretty exhausted.
Well, just because it's out of balance. You also have to receive.
Oh, wait a minute. Hey, give me that back. Give me that back. Give me that back. Wait, I've got more over here. Over here. Oh, there's another. Oh, you are spreading the giving. All right. Okay. All right. I got it now.
Well, how does that feel?
I don't know. Not that good. It
There
feels
needs to be a balance, giving
balance.
and receiving.
Okay. Well, how about I give you this heart? What are you going to give me?
I mean, I give you that heart back. How'd that feel?
It feels like the only reason you gave me the heart back because I gave it to you in the first place.
So there is a balance, and there's also something about giving to get. You know of a story about that?
I think we all know a story about that. I think we all have that friend that one day you get a call, something like, I need help. Well, I would talk to this, well, how am I going to put this? Got myself a little verklempt. So we all have friends that give with conditions. In other words, if you move, they'll come and help you move. And it's generosity on their terms. But when it comes time for them to move, it's not just a, hey, I'm moving also. It's like, I helped you move, and I expect you to be there to help me move. And it's like that with every little thing. That's like a giving to get. And somebody that is conditional and keeps track of every little thing.
Sometimes people think,
But sometimes, but even in the midst of all that, we all have to move. We all have to have things. Shouldn't I still think about what's in it for me?
what's in it for me? Eric Butterworth covered that a little bit. Sometimes we think, what's in it for me? Like if you're going and giving a presentation of a business, what are they going to think? What's in it for me? But there's a scripture from Luke chapter 6, verse 38. It has nothing to do what's in it for me. It says, give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over will be put into your lap. For the measure you give will be the measure you get back.
So if I give something expecting something back, others will probably do the same for me, don't you think?
It's not giving from a consciousness of love.
Well, what if I give out of obligation?
You're not giving from the consciousness of love.
What if I give?
It's a consciousness.
You know, Reverend Erin makes this look so easy. Now, what if I give out of consciousness?
Yeah, it's the consciousness. Giving from the heart with no expectations is the key. Eric Butterworth on page 169.
For those following along.
I love this. When giving becomes the main thrust of your life, you discover the wonder of giving. You become unblushingly an incurable giver. Incurable giver. I mean, if you're going to have something incurable, that'd be kind of a good way to go. An incurable giver. Meditate long on this point. It is one of the most important keys of the prosperity law. So this book, all these chapters, have aspects of the prosperity law. We're just talking about 2 little chapters. Become an incurable giver.
So when I think about incurable givers, and I want to see a show of hands, has anybody ever paid it forward or paid for somebody's coffee or paid for somebody's meal, even paid for, I've heard of stories, oh, look at this, about 50%
Or more.
or more. Has anyone ever been blessed by receiving? Oh, just as many people received as they gave. Now, was there any obligation in it? Did you even know the person? Was there any expectation of a return? No, it was just pure flow, pure consciousness, pure giving.
Giving and receiving from the heart.
Yeah, and I think that that's the highest ideal. But does anyone ever experience a clog in their pipe of giving? Does it ever come up? And if you'll give me a few shout outs, what do you think would be your biggest clog in your flow of giving?
Fear.
Fear. He goes right for the big one. Yeah, fear is.
Yes, fear is stepping on the hose of God's good, stepping on the hose of divine flow. Do you know what it says 365 times in the Bible, one for every day? Do not fear. Do not be afraid. Do not fear. 365 times.
What about leap year?
We are talking about the spirit of the law, not the letter.
Oh, that's getting a little legalistic there. Okay.
So, what brings around fear around giving?
Well, if I was going to have people shout out, what would you say would bring about that fear?
Not enough.
What else?
Worthiness.
And when I think about not enough, like my fears that have come up over the years when I've stepped out and decided that I'm going to be a giver but done it more in a legalistic sort of way, is what if I don't have enough money at the end of the month? What if I can't feed my children? What if I can't make my mortgage payment? What if my car breaks down? The what if monster just... And what he breeds is fear.
Fear. That's right. So fear blocks the flow. So how do you overcome fear? By being a giver. See what is yours to give. You stop thinking about what you don't have when you focus on what can I give. When you are in fear, when we are in fear, we're focused on what we don't have. Oh my gosh, what if I don't have enough for this or that? And our 12-power imagination is being used poorly here in a way that doesn't serve us. So there's a slide. Is it up?
This one's not here.
Oh.
I missed a slide.
Okay, that's all right. So I have something I want you to fill in the end of the sentence. Perfect love casts out fear. Perfect love casts out fear. I have something else for you. God is my source. And give, and it shall be given. Those three to come, to keep our minds here. Because when we keep our minds on giving from love, giving with no expectation, giving, don't give out of obligation, give freely from the heart, then we're focusing on what we do have. Then we're focusing on the love and the source of God within us that is infinite. Focusing here, perfect love casts out fear. So we have another chapter.
We do have another chapter that we're going to dig into. Is Ann Fitzgerald in the house?
Yes.
Okay, good. That chapter is tithing. Don't get up and close the door.
Lock the
Don't
doors.
let people go. But Eric Butterworth has a new take on tithing. And we've got some luminaries from Unity. The Unity World Headquarters put together a 100th anniversary series that you can find on Fillmore Faith. And this is just excerpts out of 2 of them on giving. But it's a wonderful series, and I encourage you to go and watch all of them. So we're going to hear from Reverend...
Starts with Eric Butterworth.
Eric Butterworth.
You get to see what he looks like.
And then Reverend Sharon Poindexter. And then Reverend Jim Rosemergy. And Jim, he was here summer before last, and he was one of our summer series speakers. He looks like he was like in high school in this video. So, well, you know, I didn't recognize him until I saw his name. So we're going to go ahead, Andrew, if you've got the sound up, we're going to go ahead and listen to just a couple minutes.
Short excerpt.
Every person should think in terms of, even as you think of giving to your church or giving to needy persons, you have a tremendous obligation to give in terms of projecting the conscience of prosperity throughout the world. Let there be prosperity in all the world, among all people. Let that be the flow of attitudes in your prayer time.
The spirit of the law of tithing is about being grateful for the relationship that we have with the Creator, grateful about the relationship that we have with the universe, that I can freely give out of what I've been given, because there's a whole lot more yet to come to me.
Tithing is considered as God's law. I question that. I say it's not God's law at all. Giving is God's law. Tithing is a discipline of giving.
There are people who tithe in a slavish way, believing that by giving 10% of their income as their tithe, that they're going to receive. That captures the letter of the law, but it doesn't get the spirit of the law.
I'll tell you quite honestly, years ago when Nancy and I made the decision Nancy's my wife, to begin tithing. We did so in a, I hate to even say this, but in a mercenary way. We were going to give, and we were going to see what came in. So we did that very thing, and guess what? There was an increase. But then as time went on, there were situations where that was not the case, and we had to break through into another dimension of prosperity and tithing to make a stand that giving is not to receive, but that giving is an expression of my divine nature. It is a declaration that God is my source. That's the heart of prosperity.
So Eric Butterworth does a nice deep dive into the history of tithing, going all the way back to the Old Testament. And any of us that have been in prosperity classes, I've been in a prosperity class every year since 1998, starting off with the Unity 12 powers, not 12 powers, 4T, that went through the 12 steps. And originally, the tithe was an obligation. That's how they paid for their government. They had a theocracy. They had the priests were essentially your governors, your ruling class. And so when they came around and said, give 10%, it wasn't like, oh, maybe not. It was like an obligation. It was what you did. So what Eric Butterworth is bringing us through is we are now in a new look at tithing. Tithing is now an expression of divine flow, an expression of generosity, an expression of going to God as source, not as obligation.
Because obligation completely bypasses the heart. And it is in our consciousness when we give that's when we receive. That's when we receive in that same manner. So if I'm giving out of stringent obligation or fear, then it doesn't come back in this divine flow that we would hope for it to.
So tithing as a strict percentage can act as training wheels. So Eric Butterworth goes into it. He says, if that's where you need to start to track, start doing it. In our prosperity class, when we were talking about tithing at the beginning of the class, we talked about start at whatever percentage feels comfortable to you. So that's doing it as a strict practice. That's watching it. But as the heart of a giver comes on, those training wheels, as you see, as you demonstrate that God is your source, that you give from the first of your fruits and not at the end of the month where you're like sweating when you do it out.
Not that we've done that.
Tell on myself. Yeah, not that we've done that. In one of our early prosperity classes, and we were trying to do it strictly by percentages, we actually bounced a tithe check to the church.
And we're like, man, that didn't work.
Anybody here old enough to float a check? We tried to float it. We were giving at the end of the month. It's like, oh, we've got to tithe 100, but we've got 80. Oh, I think we can do it. We had a very good bank, processed very quickly. So the training wheels are important, but having the consciousness of giving, as our luminaries had talked about, without getting, but as an expression of God.
And part of that giving is with no thought of return. So sometimes in tithing or giving, we hear tithing, you give 10% and you get it all, you get that and more. But that's tithing with an expectation, and it takes us away from the heart of giving into the mind or the letter of the law. And Eric Butterworth really talks about becoming a giver in your life. And he also talks about bringing the whole tithe. And that's not just money. That's your attention. That's your listening, your love, your placing to help and being in service, just like those quotes, those affirmations that Lynn sent. So I have a story, short story, about when Mark and I were in Charlottesville, Virginia. We had a series of all kinds of things happening to where we were down to almost nothing, and we weren't really sure what we were going to do. And we did keep tithing. There might have been some fear in there, just saying. But we kept tithing.
Good training wheels.
Good training wheels. And a woman came up to me after church, and she had a folded check in her hand. And she said, I want to give this to you. She said, normally, this is allocated for an Edgar Casey camp, ARE camp, that we always give, and this year they didn't have it. And she said, I really felt I wanted to give it to you. Now, she didn't know what was going on with us. And I thought, oh, that's so sweet. That's so lovely. I'm thinking it might be, $20 or $30. I opened up that check. It was $800. $800. And normally, if I was just in another space, I might have said, oh, no. But I was like, oh, my gosh, you have no idea. That paid the bills we need to pay. It allowed us to get food in the house. It was this beautiful bridge to the next blessing that came in our lives. She had no idea, but she was listening. She was listening to the still, small voice of God inside that says, give it to Mark and Ayesha. And you know what she didn't do? She didn't say, oh, the camp's not happening. I'm going to go clothes shopping. And then I might go to a fancy spa. She had allocated it. She had the spirit of a giver. She already had allocated it, and she said, you know what? Now where am I going to find a place to give this gift? And what a gift that was.
And she had really developed that heart of a giver. But we really want to remind you, like $800, that's impressive. I've never just given $800 to a person. But we are also taught about our consciousness of giving. Doesn't matter about how much it is. It is still all about the consciousness. Whether you give a quarter, or whether you give $800 or $1 million, we're reminded of the widow's mite. So in the Old Testament, a widow gave just her mite, just all that she could, but she gave it out of love and out of flow. And when her amount was questioned, because other people could give grandiose amounts, it was reminded that you give from where you're at, and all gifts given in love are worthy.
So getting back, give and you shall, shout it out. Give and you shall. God is my perfect love casts out. There we go. There they are. So all you need is love.
All you need is love.
All you need is love. Love is all you need. Namaste.